I'm an avid reader. You'll hear more about books that I love, but about 3 years ago, I was reading about neuroplasticity. I'd never heard that term before, but instantly I was hooked. It's all about the science of rewiring your brain for success, and I thought I need to know more about that. So what is neuroplasticity? Neuroplasticity is just the simple fact that your brain is changeable or plastic. You can physically change the hard wiring of your brain by the actions that you take. For example, if for some reason you were in a tragic car accident driving home today and you lost the sight in your eyes, what would happen is that the visual cortex in your brain would physically in your brain begin to shrink in size. But the other areas of your brain would begin to expand. Your sense of hearing, that physical size in your brain would begin to expand. Your sense of touch would begin to expand. So what happens in your brain is based on what you spend the most time on, those areas expand. Many of you may be golfers. You know when you're playing and practicing a lot, you get better. For some of you, you may be pianists. And you know that when you're practicing the piano, you get better. It's because you're giving more real estate in your brain to the activities that are important to you. So why is this important as we begin this idea of the 7-minute revolution? Your brain has a finite amount of capacity. There's only so much time that you have things for, and there's really only so much capacity in your brain that you have time to think about things. You have to begin to decide now what is going to be most important to you. And then we see a lot of people asking us questions. As I wrote the book, The 7-Minute Difference, Allison, why this 7-minute thing? Well, it all boils down to how long you can pay attention. And in the research that we've done, we found that through neuroplasticity, many people have a 7-minute attention span because of television. That's right. You have developed a 7-minute attention span because of television. Now think about it. You're watching a TV show, 7 minutes goes by, and boom, there's a commercial. So now you don't have to pay attention. After the commercials go by, another 7 minutes of the program, you're in rapt attention of the program, and then boom, another commercial. So somehow, through this repeated process of television and other things in our lives, we want constant entertainment, we want constant novelty, and we've lost that ability to really concentrate. Well, I'm not even sure that we have a 7-minute attention span. I go all over the country teaching corporate executives, and I see constant distraction and interruption going on in their lives. When was the last time you walked into your office and you were able to devote an entire day to finishing a project without any interruption or distraction? Can you imagine how much more you could get done if you could truly focus on something? But what really happens? There's a knock at your door, somebody comes in with a problem. The email goes off, your telephone rings, your BlackBerry rings, your iPhone rings. We have constant distraction and interruption in our lives. I don't think you have a 7-minute attention span. In many cases, we have a 2-second to 7-minute attention span. So what are we going to do? I wrote the book, The 7-Minute Difference, and in that book it has over 100 ideas that can truly help you focus on what's most important to you. But as we learn about neuroplasticity and the process of how our brain is plastic or changeable, what we need to understand that time management is not a time management issue, it's an attention issue. It's when you wake up in the morning, you have to ask yourself the question, what is going to be most important to me today? What will capture my attention? And what will I devote my attention to? In his book, William James, the textbook Principles of Psychology, and this was written in the 1800s, he said, attention is the taking possession by the mind in clear and vivid form. Now let's stop right there. Attention is the taking possession. Now you know what it's like to have something take possession of you. It's exciting, it's novel, it grabs you, and it makes you want to do the things. It makes you want to be involved in that activity. When was the last time you really had an activity that took possession of you in your mind, your body? I want to live a life doing things that are important enough to me that they take possession of my heart and soul. That's when you'll begin to cross that line and start doing things that matter to you. Attention is the taking possession by the mind in a clear and vivid form. He goes on, of one out of what seems several simultaneously possible objects or trains of thought. Now, this is how the brain works. When you have a conscious thought, you can only have one conscious thought at a time. This whole idea of multitasking just doesn't work. As a time management and organizational consultant, we see people trying to do thing after thing after thing all at the same time. They're trying to eat their lunch, answer the telephone, answer emails, sign off on reports. What you're really doing is simultaneously, very quickly switching from task to task. And your brain can't keep up. You're having to go from thing to thing. But with attention, you have to choose which one thought you're going to decide to focus on. Now, why is that important? When you decide to choose to focus on one thing, guess what you have to do? It is focalization, concentration of consciousness, or at its essence. Focalization and concentration. Boy, I want that in my life. If there's something that I'm willing to do, I want to do it well. I want to be able to focus on it, I want to concentrate on it, and I want to be able to mark it off my list. But here's where most people don't really get the whole thing. If you focus on one thing, it instantly implies that there's a withdrawal from some things in order to deal effectively with others. Every day you wake up, there are probably hundreds of things that you need to do. Things that are circling in your mind, from the dirty garage to the things and clutter in your car, to the button that's not sewn on your jacket, that's been not sewn on your jacket for more than a year. And as you reach in your closet to get the jacket, you can't wear the jacket because there's no button on it. All of those things circle in your mind. You have to decide what you will focus on. So as you focus on one thing, you are deliberately choosing to not focus on other things. So it implies the withdrawal from some things in order to deal effectively with others. The final sentence of this paragraph, and attention is a condition which has the real opposite from the confused, dazed, scatterbrained state, which in French is called distraction. Distraction. How much distraction do you have in your life right now? In fact, one of my friends said, Allison, distraction comes from an ancient word known as distraction. And I thought that was pretty funny. I said, well, what was it? And he said, it's an ancient form of torture. They would take your left arm and tie it to one horse. And they would take your right arm and tie it to a second horse. They would take your left leg and tie it to a third horse. They would take your right leg and tie it to a fourth horse. They would slap the horses, and the horses would distract you. I have felt for years that I've lived in a constant state of distraction, pulled in all areas, pulled by my job, pulled by finances, pulled by goals and dreams. What kind of state of distraction are you living in now? And are we choosing to live in a state of distraction? This paragraph is incredibly important. Now, you will find it in your handout. You'll also find it on our website. I'm very grateful to William James for writing one paragraph that, if you really ponder on those things, can change your life. What it's made me aware of is that I need to be attentive. If I only have a limited amount of capacity, I want to make sure I'm spending my days focusing on things that matter, not only to me, but to the legacy and destiny I want to leave behind. So it's all about the power of attention. What you focus on will matter. What you choose to let into your life will matter. And where you see your attention going will matter. I'd like to introduce you to one other word. That word is synapse. Synapses are formed when we pay attention to things. When you pay attention to a task, finishing a project at your work, you're making a connection in your brain that helps you understand and helps you function through completing that task. The other day I went to the batting cage with my family, and it had been a long time since I'd held a bat in my head, so I put the helmet on and I went out there and I made a connection with the ball. The bat hit the ball and I made a connection with it. Then I swung again, and I swung again, and I swung again. By the end of the batting cage, I was actually able to connect with the ball on a regular basis. That's what these connections do, and here's what it looks like. When you first do a project, you have a very weak connection. This is a picture of a synapse forming in your brain. But the more you do something, you develop stronger and stronger synapses. You develop stronger connections in your brain, this neuroplasticity, this plasticity of connections. And you can see after you've done it for a while, you're developing strands of these synapses that are strengthening. It's called what fires together, wires together. Isn't that interesting? If you want to be different tomorrow than you are today, guess what? You have to be attentive to the things that you want to focus on. Many of the people in our classes say, I want to be attentive about getting in shape. Well, then you just have to get in shape. You have to practice it day after day after day. These synapses are very important. But synapses occur in our thoughts, in our time, and in our actions. Literally thinking about something creates a synapse. When you're excited about a project, you're reinforcing those connections in your brain. How you spend your time, how you spend the time of your day, whether you're talking about something positive or whether you're complaining about something that can't possibly be done within a deadline that someone's giving you, you're reinforcing those connections. And obviously, these synapses are formed by the actions we take on a day-to-day basis. I want to choose to strengthen the connections and synapses in my brain that matter. If I have a limited amount of capacity, then don't I want to focus my attention on the thoughts, the time, and the actions that will make those things happen in my life. Paying attention matters. In fact, in her book, Wrapped by Winifred Gallagher, the main theme of that book for me could be summed up in one sentence, and I thought it was great. She said, your life is the sum total of what you focus on. Wow, that's amazing. Your life is the sum total of what you focus on. She's saying that your reality, the life that you lead, is dictated by what you pay attention to. It's dictated by how you spend your time. I want my life to matter, so I need to begin to focus on things that bring me joy, that bring me fulfillment, that draw me towards that destiny. Your life is the sum total of what you focus on. She also said, the skillful management of attention is the key to happiness and fulfillment. It's all about attention. We're going to be really talking about that as we go through the 7-minute difference, because I think you can focus your attention 7 minutes at a time. Now here's your first pop quiz. As we bring this picture up, what is this a picture of? No, it is not an aerial photograph of Jonesboro, Arkansas, where I live. That was a good guess, though. I know that's what you were thinking. It's actually the head of a farm animal. Can you see it now? It's the head of a big farm animal that you see in the fields in Arkansas. It's the head of a cow. Yes, let me help you. Now you can see it. You can see the ear and the eye and the jawline and the other ear and the eye. As I bring it out, you can now see the cow. Now, I'm going to take it back. Now can you see the cow? This is what attention is like. Once you draw attention to something, just as I drew the attention to the head of the cow, once you see it, now you can't do anything but see it. In this class, the 7-minute revolution, I want to give you time to draw attention to what's most important in your life, to your goals, your priorities, your values, your hopes, your dreams. And once you see those things, your life will never be the same. My life changed in 7 minutes, and I really believe your life can change too. It changes when we begin to focus on things that we want to pay attention to. Those are decisions we get to make every day. I want to focus on things that matter. We're so glad to have you here today, and we look forward to taking you into the second section on prioritizing, organizing, and simplifying your life.